I did an example. I made an example. And the example was, how many of you, and here, except of you, Ali, except of you, is in fact, we are women, okay? So how many of you enter the store with the purpose to buy a scarf? And because of a great customer service, in the end, you buy not only the scarf, but a pair of shoes, a sweater, a skirt, or thousands of scarves, as it happened to me in these days in India. And yes, and how many of you, because of the bad customer service, entering with the store with the purpose to buy a scarf, in the end, you don't buy? This is because of the sales assistant, the customer service. So my questions were, what are the sales assistant behaviors that impact on the customer experience? And how it is possible to study the co-creation of value during the interaction between customer and sales assistant. And the other problem, and that's why we are talking about neuroscience, is that usually when we assess the customer experience, we use survey and focus group. But these researches that are qualitative are full of biases, because usually we reply during the survey giving socially accepted answer. Sometimes our answer depends on the status. Sometimes it depends on our culture. So the final answer is not objective, while neuroscience is able to give us objective and accurate information about the customer. But the problem is, again, when we want to study and to assess the interaction of sales assistant and customer inside the store, we can't use the normal devices of neuroscience, like EEG or fMRI. It is impossible. They are very obtrusive, they are noisy, they are intimidating. So my question was, how can I study all of this using neuroscience but finding a non-obtrusive device? And that all of these questions were the point of my research. So, what did I do? First of all, I work on my research inside two stores. So my researches are always inside a real environment, because it's not possible to assess the behaviors of the customer if you do this inside a lab. So what I did in my last study is taking two luxury stores in the center of Claremont. There is a city near Los Angeles, and I asked two sales assistants. Oh, by the way, the sales assistants in the luxury stores are called brand ambassadors, because they represent through their appearance, behavior, and the communication the brand itself. So I asked two brand ambassadors to participate to my research, and I asked 4 researchers to hide themselves inside a store to analyze and assess the interaction as it should be. At the front row, there is a guy that was one of my co-researchers in 5 months of research inside both stores. And once decided the stores, I work with neuroscience, and I decided to assess the interaction between customer and sales assistant through the immersion. What is the immersion? Immersion is composed by attention and emotional resonance. Immersion is a state of flow. Immersion is a state of engagement in front of the environment. Immersion is composed by attention, that is the activity of the prefrontal cortex, plus emotional resonance, that is composed by the combination of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic activity. and simplifying the heart rate activity and the vagus nerve activity. And we invented in my lab, that is one of the 5th in the world for neuroscience applied to behavioral economy, a sensor that is a bracelet that is able to measure attention plus emotional resonance, so immersion. We put this sensor, so this bracelet, on the arm of the sales assistant, and we measure in real time the level of immersion that they have in front of the customer. Here in this slide, you can see what was happening. My research assistant entered the store before the store opened. They put the sensor on the sales assistant, and we measure second by second the level of immersion. You can see on the left side the graph that shows how the immersion is during the interaction. But that was not enough, because of course I can measure the immersion, but how can I see what are the behaviors connected? So what we did was placing all these photos are real. So this is the real stores. So we placed 2 cameras, one in the women's store, another in the men's store, cameras that are very, very, very small. And in the meantime, the sensor was measuring the immersion. We were able to see exactly the behavior that were connected to positive and negative peaks of immersion. What we discovered is this is great. We discovered that the sales assistant average immersion is able to predict the customer purchase. When the immersion of the sales assistant is high, so when the sales assistant is immersed inside the experience, the customer in the end buy. You can see that the average immersion during the purchase of the sales assistant is 5.49. When the sales assistant is not immersed with the customer and the average immersion is 4.35, there is no purchase. And this discovery for people that love statistics is statistically significant. And the sensor and the immersion is able to predict purchase with the 69% of accuracy. But I went beyond, and I combined the immersion with the loyalty. So I consider if the customer were loyal or not, and with the permanence of the customer inside the store. In this case, I not only discovered that the immersion is able to predict the customer purchase, but I also discovered that the level of accuracy increases from the 69% to the 84%. That is great. Again, this result is statistically significant. Then I combine positive and negative peaks of immersion with specific behaviors of the sales assistant, and I discovered thousands of information. Just to mention some of them, I can say that during the welcome, the sales assistant can have a peak, positive or negative of immersion, but it can be also neutral, and this really surprised me. I tell you exactly what happened. When you enter the store, the sales assistant welcomes you in a very warm and genuine way. But this, despite of what I was thinking, doesn't give any peak in terms of positive or negative. It is neutral, because simply the sales assistant is welcoming you because he has or she has to do this. The peaks becomes positive only when the sales assistant recognizes a loyal customer. And they are negative when the sales assistant meets the customer, but is too busy to serve the customer. Is with another customer, is doing the merchandising, he has to restock the merchandise itself. This is just to give you some examples. Why this discovery is important? It's important because through this kind of immersion, we are able to tell retailers what are the behaviors that really matters of the sales assistant inside the interaction. We are able to understand that during the selection of the sales assistant if these people are really able to deal with the customer and to succeed. And not only this, now we are preparing an app that the sales assistant have in their smartphone. When the sales assistant receive a message saying, you are really immersed in the experience. Be careful because the customer is going to purchase. And these really affect the final result. I'm going to leave you and to greeting you with the future direction of my research. The first direction is that now I'm measuring the customer immersion, and I'm working not only with a multi-brand luxury store, but also with a mono-brand store. And I'm also analyzing the extraordinary experience. But there is another future direction, and for the first time, I'm going to present this to you. I substitute the sales assistant with a robot. Here, this is my robot, this is me, this is Jibo. I lived for 6 months with a robot, and I substituted the robot with a sales assistant, and I am studying the immersion, and if the immersion is predicting the purchase when there is a robot. I'm going to present this on the 14th of May in Amsterdam at the World Retail Congress. So if you are interested in my research, you can see this on stream. Thank you.
I have a question. The sales assistant gets a message that says, be careful, the person's about to purchase. I mean, what are they supposed to do with that? Are they supposed to now encourage?
No pushing.
Okay.
More attentive.
So if that person's on the fence, because, I mean, if they're about to purchase, it sounds like they're on the fence. How do you ensure that they cross over that fence? Because especially like with online purchases, we know there's such a high percentage of people who drop things into their cart and just never go back, and they get all those reminders, you know, they're chasing you down on every site you look at. So how do you ensure that that person goes over to purchase? And if they do not, what then does the salesperson supposed to do?
The answer is double. So the app that we are running is inside the store. It's not for the online purchase.
Yes, I understand.
Okay. And with the online, we are working with Amazon.
No, I'm asking about the when you get that message that the person's about to purchase.
Yes.
But then
no, the message is you as sales assistant are immersed inside the interaction. The immersion level is so high that we are predicting that the customer is about to purchase. So the message they receive is be attentive, create the rapport with the customer purchase.
Oh, okay.
This is what we do. But your question is very interesting, and we are getting beyond. We are creating a partnership with Stenton, that is an international company, and in the meantime, we are giving the sales assistant the information that the immersion is high. We are also merging the data of the same customer online and offline. So in this way, the sales assistant also has the history of the customer itself. So the sales assistant knows not only that he is immersive, but also that the customer had done previous purchases and which kind of purchases he had done. This is what we are doing. We are doing this now. We will run this experiment, this one, so let's keep in touch in June, July in Italy for 5 outlet villages in Italy. Yes, after the robot. After the robot, it's time for the omnichannel. Yes. But it's a very interesting question, and I hope next time to answer to this. Thank you.
Hi, is the Immersion application equal to other contexts?
Yes. So we are working with Universal Studios, Warner Bros. And Disney. We are in Los Angeles because we use the immersion to predict if the advertising is successful. Not only, we did an experiment with the Super Bowl, and we are doing this, when you promote a movie, you do some trailers. So we use this to change and move the trailers in a way that the final customer is immersive. Our last success is the movie Bumblebee. So yes, we are working on this. And we are working also with Accenture to understand how we can hire the best candidate. Yeah. Yes. Any other question? So you can find me on LinkedIn with Gaia Rancati, and you can contact me as a professor and also as head of retail of Immersion Neuro. Thank you.
Thank you.
My boss, my super boss in US is the worldwide expert of trust and oxytocin. So from this point, we went on, we moved beyond, and we applied all of this in the real field.